All right, it's preparing to go live. Oh, and there's Erin. So I think we can do what our original plan was, where it should be all good. Hi, if you're joining us on Facebook Live, we're just about to get started here. This is another Living Well Wednesday, and we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month and mental health resources for people with disabilities. We are really excited to be joined by Erin Miller and Ashley Matthew, who are two self-advocates who are doing really incredible work in this area, as well as Sean Bass from Community Ties, who's going to talk a little bit about finding mental health resources and coming back into interacting with people after the pandemic and taking care of your mental health through all of that. So we're going to start with Erin this morning. And Erin, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions because I know that you worked with People First and the Self-Determination channel on this great video. And I've got some questions for you if you don't mind. I want to make sure you, make sure you unmute yourself. That way we can hear your great answers. There we go.
Yeah.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, what's the most important thing that you wanted people to know about mental health?
Do you mind if I take a second? I wrote some things down to sort of.
Of course.
Make sure that let's see. Okay, I can't find them. I'll just have to shoot from the hip, I suppose. So the question again was, what do I find most important about mental health?
Yeah.
I suppose what I find most important about mental health is emotions aren't good or bad. They're signals from our bodies telling us that we need something. Being angry might mean that we need to set some boundaries. Being scared might mean something is unsafe. And being happy might mean that we're doing well, need to keep doing well.
That's such an important point, Erin. I think that is a really a good understanding of all the different kinds of emotions that we have going on and what kind of signals they're telling us.
Yep.
So you made this video, and we're going to share it after we're done talking here about mental health. Why was it important to you to make this video?
Because these are practical tools we can use to include people today. While there are things we can't control, doing what we can do is empowering, especially when it seems like there's so many big problems. It could just get overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm excited to share the video because I think that you guys do such a great job talking about that. So what have you learned in your life about your disability and mental health?
There is a feeling behind the things we do. There is a need behind the things we feel. And when we address them, we address the root of the problem.
That is such a good point. I'm so glad that you were able to join us this morning to talk about that. I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand. And I think you guys do such a great job of explaining that. So I'm gonna pull up the video that you guys did for the Self-Determination channel where you and Cindy are talking. And after we're done, if there's anything else that you want to say, I'll make sure that we share it. It's about a 6-minute long video, but I think it's a really, really great overview of the kinds of things we're talking about.
Thanks.
So give me 1 second to pull that up. All right, we get a little bit of an ad first. Ooh. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot to do one thing. I'm going to share it again. Give me 1 sec. All right. Sorry for the quick change around there, but I think we've got it.
Special savings on top oil blends and expert recommendations on the best oil for you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm talking with Erin Miller today. Erin is a self-advocate who is passionate about raising awareness of mental health issues. She is the advocate specialist at People First Wisconsin, a statewide self-advocacy organized for people with disability and a lover of books. Welcome to the Self-Determination Channel, Erin.
Thanks for having me, Cindy.
You're welcome. Erin, tell us a little about yourself, please.
So my name is Erin. I live in St. Francis. I raise butterflies and I have a hidden disability. One of the challenges I have is self-regulation, and basically that's just a fancy word for keeping my mind and body calm. But since you can't see my disability, people think I'm just being bad. I'm not being bad. It's really hard to communicate when I'm scared and upset and need help, and the kind of help that I need.
Why do you do that?
Well, one of the reasons why I take a deep breath is just to stay a little calmer. It's in, hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out.
I totally understand that. You can help a lot of people with this coping skill, including myself.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Why are coping skills so important for mental health?
Well, people with disabilities are people first. We have minds, hearts, talents, and dreams. Coping skills help include people so that we can live in a community like anybody else. I guess I'd like to talk about ways that I help myself and that others can help me. I have a routine. I drink lots of water, squishy toys.
Okay.
I'll just get up and walk every now and then and take my meds.
Okay.
Some things are the same and some things are different. So other people might have things that are also the same, but they also might have things that are different, that they might need different stuff than me.
How do people react to that?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, what I mean by that, when you're up and, like say you're in a meeting or something and you have to get up, and how does people react that they should be respectable, but you know how people are.
Sometimes, but I try to do things like walk in the back of the room so it doesn't interrupt anything.
Okay, good. I just wanted to know, have you ever had anybody just come up with you and ask you why you're doing that?
Well, yeah, they come and ask me every now and then, but it doesn't. It just looks a little funny. It doesn't.
What's
do
your
anything.
answer to that, to them?
Just explain what it does and.
Right. Amen. And if they understand, they do. If they don't, that's their own issue, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well.
Okay. Cool. Like you said, you have a hidden disability, and I can totally understand that. The hidden one is very hard. People, like for myself too, my face looks very capable, but I have my own issues. We all do. But that doesn't mean we're not intelligent.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think people sometimes assume, and I always say there's a saying about a book. It's, what is it? You
don't judge a book by its cover.
Right. And you don't label people. So I know I didn't ask this question. So how did you learn these coping skills?
Well, some of it took a lot of time when I was growing up and people taught me things that they use, and it's like, I thought, well, this one works for me, but this one doesn't. And so I took the things that worked and it's like, one doesn't work, so I'll leave that one.
Okay, thank you. I like that. I think we all need coping skills, and what you're doing is teaching other people about mental health because it's a very important issue.
Sure is. It's something that's hasn't been talked about a lot until at least recently, so it's kind of new to folks.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot, from you know about mental health. You probably are going to be a great person to bring awareness to this. One thing, you're brave, very
Thanks.
brave. And I think that's says something about you. You're brave.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I think you're going to be teaching other people that it's okay to talk about when you're having a stressful day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yep. Thank you for being on the Self Determination channel.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Erin. If you like this episode, please subscribe.
All right. So that was the video that Erin and Cindy did for the Self-Determination channel. And it was just I think it's a really great resource for people, like you said, Erin, to give you some practical coping skills that focuses on mental health and just starting a conversation.
And things we need today while we're waiting for the system to change. It takes a long time for a system to change. They're taking power back and doing the things we can do right now and here, just in that focus on your sphere of control.
I love that. I really do. Well, thank you again, Erin, so much for joining us this morning to talk about it. I'm going to introduce Sean now. Sean Bass has joined us from Community Ties, and he's going to talk a little bit more about some practical things that we can do now that will help with mental health. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me, Caitlin. Yeah, as Caitlin said, I'm Sean Bass from the Weissman Center's Community Ties program. We offer services within Dane County to individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities, primarily behavior consultation. And just to kind of echo what Erin said about mental health, communicating a need, we almost exclusively, when we start talking about behaviors with people, emphasize that behavior is communication. If people are doing something, it's because they're trying to get a need met. They're trying to voice their wants, their needs, their desires. And the key to quote unquote behavior change is really addressing that underlying need. And mental health is very much the same. So thanks for having me. The question that was proposed to me is, all right, we're living in this world of COVID and things are kind of opening back up and getting back to normal. And actually the timing's great because for those of us who live in Dane County, it was just announced yesterday that all of the mandates here will be lifted June 2nd. So I think our minds are really moving towards, all right, let's get back to normal. And what that means is, I think, really different for a lot of us. And the first thing I want to just emphasize is it is okay to feel apprehensive or nervous about that. There are a ton of unknowns. COVID's not gone, right? So it's less of an issue, less of a danger, but it's not gone. So we don't know what that means. Another big thing that is totally understandable to be nervous about is interacting with people again. And I think this is universally true. I don't think this is specific to individuals with disabilities at all. This is everybody. We learn social skills over a lifetime, right? And social skills are really hard because it's not a set of concrete rules that I can just follow A, B, and C. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of things that change and shift constantly. And we learned those. And then what happened during COVID was we had our quote unquote normal social skills, our normal experience world. COVID hit, and immediately overnight, we had to learn a whole new set of social skills. We had to learn that we can no longer shake hands. We can no longer stand quite as close to people as we used to, that we need to wear masks. So all of our social norms that we learned changed overnight. And now we're going back into the world, but we're sort of in this transition period where we're not all back to quote unquote normal as it was pre-COVID. We still have to have some social norms about what's happening at the moment, but we're also not where COVID was, where it's, you know, everything has to be the same. And so there's a huge amount of ambiguity and uncertainty, and how do I interact in the world? We've also spent more than a year really pretty isolated, and isolation makes us lonely, and loneliness has an effect on our social skills. So there's an adjustment. And I mention all of that because I just want to normalize for everybody that it is going to be hard to transition back for everybody. It's going to be hard for anybody to do that. So just know that that is okay, and that everybody's experiencing that. I think it's also worth pointing out, especially since Erin was talking about coping skills, is that there's a sensory adjustment. So, you know, I'm working in my house still right now. I've set the heat where I want it to be. I've got the lighting the way that I want it to be. I've got the noise level the way I want it to be. As soon as I start having to go back to the office, I don't control the thermostat. I don't control the fluorescent lights that drive me crazy in my office. I don't control who interacts with me, who walks behind me, who interrupts me at my desk. And so that's all a transition that we're just going to have to adjust to. And it's okay to feel nervous about that. So I think, you know, when we think about mental health and wellness, one of the first obstacles that we have to overcome is acceptance and acknowledgement that I think there can sometimes be shame in those things, like, oh, I feel this way and nobody else feels this way. But that's not the reality. The reality is lots of people feel very similar. They just mask it pretty well, or they hide it in different ways. So just being accepting of yourself and acknowledging, yep, I'm going through a hard time, and that is okay. And I'm not the only one going through this. There was a great article I read a couple months ago in the Washington Post, and it was called, "It's Not Just You, We're All Socially Awkward Now." And it did such a great job of pointing this out, like, hey, we all have to relearn these things. So, you know, just being aware of that. For anybody who has challenges with transitions, our whole routine is adjusting again, right? Like, people keep asking me, what have you liked best about COVID? And one of them is, I haven't had to use an alarm clock in a year to wake up in the morning. And I'm going to have to use an alarm clock because I'm going to have to build in travel time to get to work again. And that's going to be a hard transition for me. That's a hard change in my routine. You can't see it because they're below the camera, but my two dogs are sleeping right next to my side. And that's incredibly comforting. And I don't get to take my dogs to the office. So that's a change in my routine. So being aware of those things, my first recommendation is make a plan. So start thinking about those things. Start thinking about the things that are going to have to change in your life, and just kind of concrete put them out there. And, you know, think about it like, okay, so I'm going to have to set my alarm. So, okay, let's start scheduling that. Let's start making some movements towards that. You know, if I'm waking up at 7 a.m. now, and I'm going to have to start waking up at 6:30, maybe I want to start setting the alarm now at 6:45 to get up and kind of start adjusting that pattern. I've got the dogs with me. That's not going to happen. So maybe I need to make a plan to take some additional pictures and have on my phone so I can see my dogs when I'm at the office. So I get stressed and I can pull up a picture and take a look at them. Start kind of thinking step by step, here are the things that are going to change in my world, and make some plans for those, map those out. I really encourage people to not jump like into the deep end of the pool, to use an analogy, right? Like you don't have to go from I'm home 24 hours a day to I'm out in the community doing all of the vocational and recreational and social things I did pre-COVID. Like you don't have to go from 0 to 60. Make some steps. So pick the things that either mean the most to you or are maybe the easiest for you to sort of map out and manage, or the things that you're most excited about, because I think whenever we're really excited about something, that can kind of help ease the anxiety a little bit. It's okay to start slow. It's okay to acclimate to those things. It's super important that we listen to our body cues. So if we're feeling our bodies be more tense, if we're quicker to anger or frustration or sadness or crying, it's our body telling us we've moved too fast, and so to try to rail that back in however we can. Give yourself permission to say no, to say not yet. I'm not ready. This is what I can do right now. You know, it is okay to say those things if people start putting expectations on you to move faster than you're ready for. And there's a lot of social pressure, I think, to move faster than maybe you're ready for. So give yourself that permission. I think it makes sense to start pre-planning, potentially visiting locations ahead of time. So maybe I will go to my office when nobody's there, just so that I start kind of getting used to my space again without having to interact with other people there, and just getting comfortable with that again. Maybe I'll create some scripts for myself or talking points, kind of the dialogue. Not that I'm going to carry around note cards, but start just sort of mapping out, hey, here are the things I can talk to people about, or here's how I can interact with people. Doing some of that foreshadowing for myself to make that feel more normal. And then kind of the final step I have is really just, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling anything about making that transition, acknowledge it and name it and accept it. I think what will oftentimes happen, we've all had that moment where we have an interaction with somebody that doesn't go very smoothly, and then later we sort of play that conversation again in our head, and then we get, oh, I'm so embarrassed by the thing that I said, and it can kind of spiral and become like, oh my God, this was this huge thing, and really it probably wasn't as big as we just made it in our head, but we sort of catastrophized the thing. We made it seem worse than it was because we didn't just acknowledge it. Like, oh yeah, that was an interaction I maybe didn't, that was kind of awkward, right? And it's okay that I have an awkward interaction every once in a while. Like, people are still going to appreciate me and like me. So if we can acknowledge our emotions, name them, and then accept them, and it does a lot to kind of help us move past those and sort of figure out what the next steps are. That's kind of my recommendations for getting back to things. You know, take things as your body feels ready for them, and accept that that's okay.
I think that's such a great point, because and even just for me, I obviously am in my office today, which is a first for me. And I was out yesterday, and it was so tiring, and I wasn't ready for that. But I had to listen to my body when it said, you just have to rest now because you did something you haven't done in a long time. Even the clothes that I'm wearing are different than what I was wearing before, and my body's adjusting to all of that. So I think it really resonates with me. So I think that it is a universal thing that people are going to start to have to learn, just to take in all that body sensory information and all of these different things that are happening, and really listening to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have some suggestions for service providers or caregivers on what they can do to help people who are maybe starting to like reintegrate into some of their old activities?
Yeah, I mean, I think for service providers, I would make some of the same recommendations. So if you're supporting somebody who can't map all those things out for themselves, help them map them out, right? You be the person who's thinking about those things. I work with a lot of individuals who might be nonverbal or might communicate in a different way and may not be able to lay that out for me. And so I have to do some of the work to try and put myself in their shoes and imagine as best I can. I'll never, ever be able to fully, but try to understand where they're at and what they're going through, and do the pre-planning to lower the stress level for them ahead of time. So I think it would be a lot of the same thing, and just don't push too hard, right? Like, I think you can think that you're being encouraging. You can think that you're being like, oh, I'm being their cheerleader. And really you're just being a weight on their back, because you're like forcing them to do something they're not ready for. So, and be the biggest one.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we were talking about before this was the idea that some people probably adjusted to pandemic life, and I don't want to say well, but they took it on, they survived it, they dealt with all of the different things that were happening. And now as they're going back into things that are familiar to them, they might be processing what's gone on in a way that you hadn't seen in the last year. They might not have been able to process some of this stuff until they get back into some of those old routines, and holding a lot of space for that as well.
Yeah. So one of the fascinating things I found in my work, because my work is, people who are struggling behaviorally for some reason, is COVID was good for a lot of people. Not because of the social isolation, that was hard for everybody, but things became a lot more predictable, right? So a lot of people who have staff, they had more consistent staff. They had less people coming into their house or into their work to support them. It was more predictable, the same people. The routines became more predictable within the house or at their job. And that actually brought a lot of people's stress load down, because the world is a crazy, unpredictable, chaotic place. It is for everybody. And so, yeah, that was one of the things. So I think that's one of the things to acknowledge is going to change, is we're going to have some unpredictability in our world again.
Great. The other thing I know we wanted to talk about was just accessing resources and where people can start to find support if they feel like their mental health requires more than just them and their caregivers in the planning process.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few ideas. So first, I think probably everybody is already aware that the ADRC exists as an entity, and wherever you are in the state, accessing them to see where they might be able to direct you. If you're in Dane County, which is where we work, so that's kind of my expertise, there's an agency through Dane County called the Behavioral Health Resource Center. And I think I'm going to send Caitlin some links to the places I'm talking about, so nobody needs to type real quick. But so you can reach out to the Behavioral Health Resource Center, and they can kind of give you some recommendations that way. The Wasteman Center also has a resource center. It's sort of in the process right now of changing the way it runs, but they do have one, and it is intended to be statewide. So that could be a place you could go for resources. As much as you're capable and you feel comfortable doing so, I really encourage people to talk to their peers. So talking to other individuals with disabilities, talking to parents or guardians of other individuals with disabilities to see who are they using in the community, like who are their psychiatrists, who is their therapist. Again, this is within your comfort level to do so, but just there's a knowledge in the community, and so we want to tap the knowledge that's already in the community as much as we possibly can. A couple places I'll name straight out. There's an organization called Place of Mind, run by Angela Marks, and I believe she works statewide. She does some wonderful work. She does some trainings for us on trauma and neurodivergence. So she's a great resource. Heart Consulting is based in Dane County, but their whole model is working with people around developing healthy relationships, and they're focused on individuals with disabilities. In Dane County, there's been a longstanding model. Community Ties, our program, came about 35 years ago with the idea of getting people out of institutions and getting people living back in the community. That's always been that's what we're about. That's what we were created around. And the motto was, there's nothing that can be done in a hospital that we can't do in the community. And so we really focused on, okay, let's look at what's happening when somebody's in an institution or in a hospital setting, and how do we find those exact same resources in the community? Because they're there, they exist. So for example, again, I'm in Dane County. Well, we have Central Wisconsin Center here. Well, all of the experts that they use are housed at UW Health or Dean. And so we look at who are they consulting with, and then let's just consult them while we're living in the community. So it's something that you can do if you're in a region that's a little more remote, is, you know, what agencies around here have professionals. You know, if somebody works at Northern or Northwest Passage or Southern, they probably have a private practice out in the community as well. So can I access that person without being at that place? Because we don't need to be there. But that might be a knowledge that's available in the region as well. So something to kind of think about. It'll take a little more digging, but you know, try to utilize the resources that are there, the knowledge, it's around.
Yeah, and I remember that one of the other things we were talking about too, which I think segues really well into our conversation with Ashley, was about like building a peer network and talking with your peers about where they find mental health resources, because we don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes, you know, the people in our network, it's sometimes a hard conversation to bring up with people, but it shouldn't be, because they probably also are going through similar things and are looking for similar resources, and they might have the right thing for you. You just have to be willing to start that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Sean. And I will make sure that we get all of those resources. Well, I think they're coming in on the chat. Jeremy's been sharing them, but I'll make sure that we share them out as well. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before I switch over and finish this up with Ashley?
Nope, I think that's what I have.
Great. I really appreciate you joining us. I think it was a great way to start to talk about post-COVID life. I definitely felt like I needed this conversation, so I'm glad that we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Ashley. I am so excited to talk to you as well, because I know that you have been doing a lot of work on helping people keep a positive mindset and working on their mental health during the pandemic. And I want to talk to you about some of those things that you've been doing. So how have you been helping people who've been struggling throughout this pandemic?
Well, I've been bringing care packages to them, to their group homes, or just saying, how are you doing? And how are you doing the pandemic? Just talk to me and stuff like that. And I also created a Facebook page called Positive Vibes, and it has all these positive things, which you get, if you can bring it up. But
yeah, give me 1 second. I'll share that screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I should be able to share the screen just briefly so that we can, we might have a little bit of inception going on with the Facebook, but give me 1 sec. Yeah, hold on, Ashley, because it wants to go on like a Facebook inception, so. Here we go. So this is what the Facebook group looks like that you're running. Positive attitude changes everything is your little cover photo, because I know there's a couple of other positive groups out there, but it's called Positive Vibes, and it's just got lots of really great resources and check-ins with people and these memes, and you guys have been doing such a great job of making sure that there's lots of positivity on Facebook and on our virtual interaction. So do you want to talk a little bit more about what made you get started with something like that?
Yeah, I got started because I realized that there's so many people who are dealing with negativity and COVID and stuff like that, and I wanted it to be inclusive. So it's people without disabilities, people with disabilities, so they can kind of, whatever they need to do, vent, have positive quotes, whatever they need, because because they need to know that they're not alone in this. And if you know that some people are not alone, you feel a little bit better. And also, when you're helping someone, if you're getting mentally drained, take a break or whatever. Other people can help them too. But also know when you're helping someone, make sure you're not saying get over it or snap out of it, because it's not an easy fix for mental health. When people start going down a really bad depression path, if you do that stuff. So just learning to be positive, reinforce you're amazing, you're awesome, you're great, kind of reinforce that positivity, make sure they know that their feeling is okay. Like, it's not a bad feeling that they're feeling and that they're not alone.
Yeah, that's so great. So I think that you touched on this a little bit, but can you talk a little bit more about what you've been doing to take care of your own mental health?
Well, I think I've been kind of talking with my friends and trying to get like giggles and stuff for my friends and stuff like that, but also trying to go, now that COVID's not so bad, I've been going a little bit shopping and trying to get myself like out of, and trying to get back to normalcy, because eventually we're all going to be normal. Like he said, we're going to try to do it in little steps, try to go out to the store, the dollar store and stuff like that. So I do shop for care packages for different people, and actually that makes me happy. So I just load up one load, and then I go in my favorite clothing stores and stuff. But yeah, I think that you definitely have to take care of yourself. So if you need a mental break, then take a deep breath, then call that person later. And the first thing is you got to take care of yourself. And I think I've learned that and remember to be nice with your answers. Make sure I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way, or those kind of things, and kind of retrain yourself to sometimes you don't get treated good yourself, so you get in these coping mechanisms of get over it. But when you really stop to think, coping mechanisms are, I feel so sorry that you're, how can I help you, and or even have a sheet like, how can I help you with these kind of tools. Those are the ways that are really helpful, and I've learned different things from my therapist. So I think that just setting healthy boundaries, taking deep breaths, like Erin said, all those kind of things are so important to making yourself healthy too.
And I know you were talking a little bit about going back out into the community, and I know you started to get to see some people that you haven't seen in a long time. You were telling me even just yesterday you were starting to see some people. Is it more positive, or are you feeling a little bit like you getting back into the real world is tiring?
I mean, definitely seeing people gives a level of anxiety. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good seeing people, but you just have to kind of like retrain your body to be able to talk to people and engage with people, because for so many things when you're in Zoom, you can kind of cover up how your body looks and how your facial expressions are, but when you're in real life person, they see exactly what you're feeling and what you're doing. So you kind of have to retrain your body to be in social situations and stuff. But you have to take it piece by piece, and it's not going to be easy. It might give you a little bit more of anxiety, but being in person makes me feel more of a connection with the clients and more of a connection with people, because now they know, okay, now they have actually a notebook. Before they didn't have a notebook to write in, or they don't know, they know they can tell me physically what kind of visual they need, and I have it in my office, or those kind of things. So it is going to be nerve-wracking for you at first, but I encourage you to start doing it, and then it'll just get easier as time goes on.
Great, thank you. And I wanted to mention, Erin brought up a really good point in the chat, and I think it was maybe just to me, so I wanted to share it. But one of the things is as we go back into, more in-person interactions is remembering that some of these tools that we've learned, Zoom and some of these distance tools are accessibility tools for people, and they can't all just go away because, you know, whether it's transportation issues, mobility issues, or it's just a comfort level that means that people can participate more than they were before, having some virtual services and virtual options is going to be something that we should continue to advocate for, because it is a way to make meetings and social interactions and all kinds of things more accessible to people. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Erin?
And to,
Oh, just the idea that we should continue to have some virtual options as an accessibility feature for people.
well, for one thing, it isn't new that mental health is one of those things that has been an issue for decades, and it is long past due. So, and the reason I want to bring up that it's been an issue for a long time is that without a history, there doesn't seem to, those accessibility measures don't seem to be able to stick. It's, oh, this is just a one-time thing. This is just something that isn't, it's this special isolated need. It's like, no, this has been here for quite some time, and there are people we haven't been paying attention to. There are marginalized people we haven't acknowledged.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions. So if there's anybody that is on the Zoom or in the chat on Facebook who has a question, we can definitely do that. But otherwise, I want to thank all three of our presenters for all of their really great information and resources today. I think this was such a good way to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. Just checking to see, there's no questions in the chat on Zoom. Do we know if there's any on Facebook? I'm not seeing any. All right. Well, and certainly if there are questions, you can reach out to us or leave them in the chat under the video, and we'll make sure to share that with our experts that joined us today. And again, we'll make sure that everybody has access to the great resources that were discussed and the video that Erin worked on for the self-determination channel. With that, I want to thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to getting together again for a Living Well Wednesday next week. All right.